This is a bit of a different video to what I would usually make. I'm Benjamin, I'm the founder of Perpetual, and I wanted to talk a little bit about something that I think is important for everybody to kind of understand. And I think it's pretty serious, and I think that a lot of people are starting to become aware of this now because of recent events. That happened in the past few years. It's really opened everybody's eyes to what is possible. Stuff that people never thought was possible happened. And I kind of wanted to talk about how no one is coming to save you, and you have to save yourself. It's your responsibility to create a plan B. It's your responsibility, it's your responsibility to make sure that you and your family are safe. And the government isn't going to save you. No one else is going to save you. It's your responsibility to save you, your family, the people you love, your friends. So let's kind of go through it. So fundamentally, your government does not care about you. This is difficult for some people to comprehend, but this is the case. To the government, you are a number in the system. You're a taxpayer. You pay taxes. You're a number in the system, and the government does not care about you. And I think that people are starting to really realize this now. They're voting for one thing and another thing happens, and they never seem to be, listened to. And it's just like an endless cycle of them, thinking, oh, if I vote for this party, something's going to change. If I vote for that party, something's going to change, and nothing ever happens. And right now we're talking about like Western countries like Europe, the US, Canada, and obviously the US. Trump recently got elected, and he's making drastic changes in the country, so stuff is actually changing. But in a place like the UK, in Canada, in Europe, nothing is really ever changing. People are very unhappy with the way the country is run. Nothing changes, even though there's like a clear mandate from the people. Nothing ever changes, right? And I think it's important to just realize that the government doesn't care about you, and the government is going to do what's best for itself. Another really important thing is the illusion of safety. And, obviously this picture, the Lehman Brothers, they went bankrupt during the 2008 financial crisis. And, that's like a thing where people don't realize that, they think that the government is going to save them from, crises, whether that's, bank failures, whether that's natural disasters, whether that's, civil unrest, whatever it is. Like, the government is not going to save you. It's the illusion of safety. And, with what happened in the 2008 financial crisis, many people lost their jobs, not just in the US, but it affected the entire world. Really, a lot of countries, like including the UK, never recovered from that crisis, and the UK is still poorer today than it was pre-2008, which is just very, very crazy. It's just like, the same thing during what happened during 2020. Everybody knows what happened. The government, did they save you then? No, they just basically printed a bunch of money, gave all of the contracts to their friends for stuff like masks, PPE, hospital contracts, whatever. It was all given to friends or people in the government, and they made billions and billions, and like people became richer than ever of the pandemic, right? And there's not a single person that I speak to that hasn't said food has gotten more expensive, housing has gotten more expensive, their car payments, whatever it is, their mortgage, everyone can see that they are worse off than before, 2020. Unless you were, making money for investments and stuff like that. Now you're probably richer than ever. So that's another thing as well. It's really important to have plan Bs to protect yourself. So this is another one that is very important as well. It kind of relates to the first one, and it's that your government's interests are not yours. People can see this, by like what I said, where they keep voting, they keep saying something different, and the government literally does the opposite of that. I'll give an example. In Europe, people are very, very unhappy with mass immigration. and there's nothing inherently wrong with immigration if it's controlled and if it's, people are vetted and if it's the right type of people, like skilled people that are contributing to the economy. That I think that is totally acceptable. But Europe has seen like an influx of mass immigration from countries that are not aligned with European values, and these people basically don't really contribute to the economy. They, just receive benefits from the government. There's a lot of issues with crime in European countries, and it's a very controversial subject. But fundamentally, Europeans are not happy about this, but yet it keeps happening. No one keeps changing anything. In like you look at a place like the UK, people arrive on boats to the UK. They get given a hotel. They get given basically free money, free food, free accommodation, while people are struggling to survive in the UK, and that makes a lot of people angry because they're looking and they're seeing the government treat people that rock up, have no connection to our country, better than its own citizens, right? And it's like your government's interests are not your own. Like that's just a fundamental truth, and there's not really much point, trying to fight it, trying to protest it, and because you're never going to win. It's an uphill battle, and you've already lost, right? And instead of like wasting all your energy in fighting two sides of a system which you're never going to win, it's better just if you realize this and you're not happy where you're living, you're not happy with your government, to leave and find somewhere better that better aligns with your values. The next one is we are entering a new era of instability. You can see this very clearly in Europe. There's a big war happening in Europe. And that was, basically people thought that was unthinkable, right? A war happening on the European continent in 2025, like, a huge war. And look what happened, right? And, that just stuff that we thought was impossible even just 5 years ago is now, happening. And we're just entering a very unstable time. I think that the 2020s are going to be a very unstable decade. There's a lot changing in the world, whether that's AI, whether that's like huge regime changes in government, whether that's, whatever it is, like there's huge changes happening to the world. And that's why it's more important than ever to have a plan B. So when I say plan B, what is a plan B in this context, right? Because the reason there's a picture of like a credit card here and a passport. So, a passport is the ultimate plan B. Just like how you would put money in a savings account, for safety, in case you lose your job, unexpected payments, whatever. That's a plan B, right? That's a very well understood plan B. It's why people, want savings to basically have that safety net. And it's the exact same with a passport, with a residency, with an offshore bank account, etc. It's these things are tools to protect yourself. In case there's a crisis, in case there's like a financial crash again, a pandemic, a global, some kind of like event that happens, whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. These things protect you. Let's say that war happens in Europe, right? And, hopefully this never happens, but already countries are talking about, implementing conscription, right? And in Ukraine, if people don't go fight in the war, their passports don't get renewed. They're not allowed to leave the country. And, somebody having a second passport could leave Ukraine, where if they only had a Ukrainian passport, they couldn't leave. So a second passport was the difference between life and death in certain situations. It's the same in Palestine. People that don't have a foreign passport are stuck there. If they have a foreign passport, they can leave. Again, the difference between life and death for certain people. And obviously, these are very extreme examples, but these events are becoming more and more common. And your government can say, okay, we want to implement military conscription. All males under the age of X age are now have to enroll in the military. And if you don't have another passport, you could be stuck going to the military. The government could freeze everybody's bank accounts. The EU has said with their new plan, where basically they are talking about implementing a new plan to basically bolster defense spending. It's like a huge package. They're talking about using people's savings from their bank accounts to pay for this, which is absolutely absurd. They're talking about like capital controls and all of this crazy things. What's the answer there? It would be an offshore bank account in a neutral jurisdiction. So imagine, you keep your money in Singapore, right? Singapore isn't getting involved in any wars. That could be an amazing place to keep your money. Where do you want to incorporate your company? Probably not somewhere where you're living. If you're running an online business, of course, if you're running something on the ground, it's different. But if you're running an online business, you probably want to incorporate in another country to kind of diversify yourself and spread yourself out. So that you're not all in on one country or jurisdiction. So let's say, for example, you're living in Germany, you have an online business. Maybe you want to set up like a Hong Kong company or a US LLC or something like that to diversify yourself so that you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. And, there's many ways to get, second passports and residencies. There's CBI programs, which is citizenship by investment, where you invest money in a country, they make you a citizen. There is RCBIs, which is residency by investment, same principle, but you get residency. Also, citizenship by descent. If one of your ancestors is from a country, you can be eligible for a passport. There's many different options. Argentina is a really good option because it's so far away from everything. It's so far removed. Places in Asia like Singapore is a great neutral country. Hong Kong is another great jurisdiction. Amazing banking infrastructure. It's a great place to set up a business. Just around the world, you have so many great options of, where you can move your assets to, where you can move your family to, where you can get citizenship, where you can get residency. It's a lot to cover in this video, but if you're interested in learning more about this, you have any questions, maybe you want to get a second passport, residency, bank account, company, whatever, feel free to book a call with the link in the description, and we can help you out, answer any of your questions. I'll also link our website below as well. Check out our other videos we have on the channel about specific programs and stuff like that. But this was just a bit of a different video, kind of going into something that I think people need to think about.